Chapter 7 opens with another wasp poem from the man about the girl. This time he starts from the bottom of her body and works his way up with his intriguing comparisons. Some of them are vaguely intelligible, but the description of her belly as a heap of wheat encircled by lilies is a particular head-scratcher. Sometimes his descriptions are more on the mundane side and work mainly on the basis of shape or colour. Or they can be more abstract and metaphorical, or perhaps sometimes the answer is both. In this case, he might be suggesting that her belly does somehow look like a heap of wheat, but also he might have in mind something to do with her fertility, or some connection between the future joy of harvest and the future joy of children. Another possibility regarding the shape is that it is not a heap, but a sheaf of wheat bound at the middle, which would make more sense visually. Earlier, her eyes were like doves, and now they are like pools. Her eyes are clearly an important feature for him, and they were probably important for beauty in this culture anyway. In Genesis 29:17, Leah's eyes were described as weak, whereas Rachel was beautiful in appearance and form. Elsewhere, good eyesight represents health and vigour, as when Moses dies at 120 years old, and the writer remarks in Deuteronomy 34:7 that his eyes had not failed, or in Deuteronomy 28:65 when he warns the Israelites that if they are unfaithful, the Lord will give them a trembling heart, failing eyes, and a languishing soul. The other descriptions, her neck and her nose being like towers, and her head being like the Carmel mountain range, all suggest something like stateliness, pride, in the good sense of the word, and grandeur. In verse 10, the speaker is now the maiden. When she speaks of her beloved's desire, she uses the same Hebrew word used in Genesis 3:16 and 4:7, which are both strikingly negative in context. 3:16 describes the conflict, or perhaps power struggle, that will exist between a husband and wife as a result of Eve's sin. And 4:7 is where God warns Cain that sin crouches, desiring to master Cain, so that he will do something terrible. Here in the Song of Songs is the only other use of that word. Context is the most important aspect of determining word meaning, and here its use is positive, and there is no implication of dominance. As the girl continues into chapter 8, she wishes that her beloved was her brother. Once again, she would bring him into the domain of her mother. What she wants is to love him openly, in public, without incurring the wrath of the community, and so she wants the kind of acceptable displays of affection and intimacy that family were permitted. Even so, the terms brother and sister were used between lovers in the Near East, and examples have been found in Egyptian poetry. Verse 8 describes a little sister with no breasts. The speaker is the girl still, but now she remembers her brothers talking about her when she was younger. They decide that if she is chaste and well behaved, that is, a wall, something hard to get past, then they will protect her, yet also be able to take her out in public, hence the battlement which they will decorate with silver. She will be protected but honoured. But if she is a door, easy to open and enter, and therefore profligate and prone to sexual mischief, then they will board her up. That is, she will be protected by being imprisoned. The girl, now older, is indeed a wall, and now her breasts are like the towers on that wall. But she has met one whom she trusts, who esteems her highly, and together they have found peace. Verses 11 and 12 appear to contrast her happiness with that of Solomon's. He has an abundance of vineyards. Perhaps he has too many and can't appreciate them. She is happy with the one that she has and would not exchange it. In 1:6, she said her brothers forced her to look after the vineyards, but that meant she couldn't look after her own. Now she can. Perhaps this means she has emerged out of the protective but at times stifling sphere of her family and can now create one of our own with her beloved.